Welcome to the Walk Thru with 5-Star Preps, the ultimate weekly live show that dives deep into the heart of high school football right here in East Tennessee. Powered by Triple F Training. Train like a pro. Each week, Jesse Smithey and the 5-Star Prep team takes you beyond the gridiron and into the stories that define Fall Friday nights in the hills of the Great Smoky Mountains. From the thrilling touchdowns to the hard-hitting tackles and the unsung heroes who make every game unforgettable, we've got it all covered. Join Jesse Smithey as he breaks down this week's biggest games, highlights the standout performances, and gives you the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. Now, catch us live on the Walk Thru, presented by Triple F Training.
And welcome into week 2 of the Walk Thru. I'm Paige Dauer alongside 5-Star Preps Jesse Smithey, again here in a great location of Triple F, who is a great friend and sponsor of yours as well.
Right, this is year number 2 of Triple F being a part of the 5-Star Prep sponsorship team, and they've grown each and every year and branching out and doing more and more with us. And just thought it'd be a great idea to broadcast this show from their location. It's very easy to find right there off of Pellissippi, and every time we come here, there's kids here, there's people just doing a variety of things, and there's people of all ages. That's what I love about this place. It's not just for kids. I mean, there's people 40, 50 years old in here working out, getting their health right. Got a Bible study here tonight for the kids. So much to do. And last week we talked about just how much they do, the science that goes into training their athletes here at Triple F. And again, if you're a parent out there that's got a kid in this area, no matter what age, and you're looking to get them maximized to their athletic potential, Triple F is the place to be.
Absolutely. And then when we shift gears, looking at the new top 12 after a crazy week 1 of high school football, a little bit of movement in the top 12, but still at number 1 is Maryville.
Yeah, Maryville number 1 took care of business in their opening week 1. Will Jones, sophomore quarterback, threw 4 touchdown passes. That's what you want to see in week 1. You don't want him coming out struggling, fumbling snaps, or throwing interceptions. He came out, looked like a guy that has the experience, and he got experience last year as a freshman. 4 touchdown passes. They were still able to run for 230 yards as well. So
on 38
nice,
carries.
Nice balance there for Maryville football. What you want to see as the number 1 team.
Yeah, and a lot of momentum going into week 2. We'll look down a little bit more to number 2 with Catholic, who their quarterback also had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, Mac Bartholomew, 4 touchdown passes, all to Tyreek King. He had almost 200 yards receiving. We talked about him last week being a possible guy that can win Mr. Football. He told us in the preseason, I want 2,000 yards receiving this year. You know how hard that is, 2,000 yards receiving?
I would be impressed with 1,000.
Yeah, so I mean, at this rate, he might get there by the end of the regular season. So great start for Catholic.
Yes, not such a great start. Alcoa. They lose to Ravenwood at home, start the year 0-1, which hasn't happened since 2006 and ended up being to Maryville at the time.
Yeah.
Just kind of what did we see from Alcoa that not only was it a loss, but it still keeps them in that 3rd position. Didn't move them down too much.
Look, Alcoa is still going to be fine. They're still going to be a possible 3A champion for the 10th year in a row. They have a lot of talent, but it's rare when you go out to an Alcoa game and see the other team looking bigger than they are.
Yeah.
And that's what Ravenwood was. I mean, they had over 100 guys on the roster. Their quarterbacks were huge. Their defensive line gave Alcoa's offensive line some trouble. So look, Alcoa's not going to shy away from anybody. They schedule that for a reason. They want to get better. And so I think you're going to see them improve here in week 2 against Bearden. We'll talk about that game later on.
Yes, we will. And we'll also talk a little bit more about Tyreek King from Catholic a little later as well. We'll go down to the next one. It's Bearden. What a game it was against West, who is kind of just next to them at 5. So we'll talk about them maybe in tandem.
Yeah.
Triple overtime win for Josh Jones's Bulldogs at home.
Yeah, the game started off so great for them. They returned the fumble for a touchdown 15 seconds into the night. And then as the game wore on and they had to lead and they had all these chances to put the game away, and it was a fumbled punt, and then it was an interception, and then it was a botched field goal. And it was just like, this is the most insane game ever.
Yes.
But at the end of the night, they found a way to get it done. And they haven't been able to do that against West in the last, 5 or 6 years? So great start to the season for Bearden. And they have a really demanding schedule. They got Alcoa this week.
Yeah, heading into it, West won their last 5 matchups. They were 10-2 over the last 12 matchups.
Right.
So for West, how did they kind of regroup, maybe get more confidence in their quarterback, Parker Dubon, moving forward?
Yeah, I think for West, it's just cleaning some things up. Week 1 is always messy. There's always mistakes. There's play calls that you thought were going to work that don't work.
Yeah.
There's personnel that looked good in scrimmages They looked good in 7-on-7. Maybe they didn't look so great under the lights on Friday night. So you make some personnel changes, maybe move some guys around. So West is very much a contender in Class 5A. Not worried about them at this point.
Next one we have is Greenville. What did we like from them in week 1?
Well, Caden Ball is what I like. Their new starting quarterback, over 100 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing. And that takes a lot of the onus, a lot of the productivity pressure off of Carson Quillen, their running back. And so when you have another dynamic playmaker out there in the backfield behind the line of scrimmage, it just gives the defenses so much more to have to prepare for and worry about. So Greenville, big game this week against Dobbins-Bennett.
Yes, Sevier County will have a big game coming up this week as well, but starting out good to start in week 1.
Yeah, Sevier County, great start to their season. Cooper Newman, 200 yards passing, a few touchdowns. They had a running back, Tegan Avera, who we talked about last week, a transfer from GP. He ran for over 160 yards, and a number of other big-time playmakers came through. So just kind of status quo for Sevier County, what you wanted to see, much like Maryville. Nothing to kind of press the panic button about.
Yeah, and not to skip over Jefferson County, who is at number 7.
Yeah, one of the more impressive wins of week 1, and we'll get into a lot of what we got right, what we got wrong. I was wrong on Jefferson County. I had them out there at number 12. And they probably had the biggest jump in our rankings than any other team. So Skylar Thomas had a monster game. Just that offensive line led by Nick Moore, the Tennessee commitment, just pushed them around all night. Got out to a huge lead, I think 21-0 over Oak Ridge, and they were able to hang on.
Anderson County, they had a heck of a game to start the season against Powell, who didn't have Connor Wheeler. Close game all the way to the end. What keeps them in that 8th spot for right now?
That game seems like a month ago. It was such a long week 1, but Anderson County made all the plays there in the fourth quarter when Powell was starting to find its footing and find some things that were working on offense. They made the decisive plays to hold on to that win, especially that they were not going for that 4th down. Everybody in the stadium knew they weren't going for that 4th down call, but they were able to get Powell to jump off sides, and then they ran out the clock, and then kudos to them. They made the plays to win. Yeah,
similar to Bearden and West, it's Anderson County and Powell. What keeps Powell in the top 12 and at that 9th spot?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that they were without Connor Wheeler. That's their best player offensively, and even sometimes when he's on defense.
Ways,
so when you take your best player off the field, a guy that can rush for 1,500 to 2,000 yards, it's a big absence. So I'm not going to drop them out too hard because of that. They still contended in that game. I think with him back in the fold this week, you see them get back to full strength.
Rounding out the group, we have Oak Ridge and Webb, kind of the last two in that group. Some good things from both teams. Yeah, some good things, but also some troubling things. I think Oak Ridge only was like 10 of 21 passing in that game, and Blaine Stedsbury is one of the better quarterbacks in East Tennessee. So I know he's going to have to kind of flush out that bad performance, get back on track, and I think he did that in the second half. They got back on track and threw the football really well, and for Webb, they gave up like 68 points on the road, and that's just... That's hard to come back from.
Yeah, that's super. That's kind of cringe, as the kids say nowadays.
Do they still say that?
And so, I mean, they're good on the back end of their defense. I'm not sure what happened. So, looking for a big improvement. They have an off week this week, so we won't see them until September. So, we'll see what they fix between now and then.
We talked a little bit about some of our Player of the Week candidates, so we'll shift gears over to that, starting with Tyreek King of Catholic. He had 6 catches, 196 yards. And again, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, and he probably could have even had more. I mean, he was in the game at some times where, I mean, they probably could have just kept feeding him the ball, but it was important that they get some new guys around him the ball as well. So Catholic had that game in hand, but 6 catches, like you said, 196 yards, 4 touchdowns. We'll see if he gets 2K this year in receiving yards.
Yes.
I want to see it.
I would love to see that. And then Skylar Thomas from Duff County had 32 carries, 265 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, so Omarion Mills was the running back last year, and he moved on to play college football, and we knew the name Skylar Thomas. We didn't know how good he would be, but when you take an athlete like that and you give him a massive offensive line, good things can happen, right? And Jefferson County is always going to run the football with Spencer Riley as their head coach. They did it well. Yeah, our next candidate is Grayson Chris. Yeah, so Grayson and Harriman pulled off one of the bigger upsets on Friday, knocking off Kingston, and Grayson had a ton of yardage there. Yep. And the hardest part was finding a picture of him. We had to work all weekend to get a picture of him to put up on the website, but more and more people are going to start to learn about Grayson Chris. Yeah, he had just under 200 yards, I think a pair of touchdowns as well. But then one guy who's likely playing both ways is Ryan Schaefer. Yeah, just a couple of his stats: 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12 tackles, 2 for loss, a sack, and 2 PBUs. Was he the only one playing in that game? Yeah, I mean, just a true do-it-all guy. And last year in week 1,
Tellico Plains won the Player of the Week. So we'll see if that community rallies behind Ryan. And so everybody can vote on 5starpreps.com. You got to scroll if you're on if you're on your mobile. You got to scroll down past the stories, and then you'll see the poll on there. And it's been a good voting turnout so far.
Yeah, I've already voted as well. So you mentioned as well that we want to maybe look back to week 1. You're rarely wrong, but you're wrong a couple of times last week.
A lot of times last week.
Yes.
And one of the main ones was that Bearden West game.
Yeah.
I thought West's defense would really put the pressure on Bearden's quarterback to make some bad throws. And he did at times. They had some key interceptions. I know Jack Keith was able to get 2 of those, and even though some things happened in that game that I thought, Bearden showed a lot of fortitude in winning that football game. And when everything was going wrong against them, they still kind of kept their heads, and you could sense that on the sideline. There wasn't a lot of, hey, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. They kept their composure, and I think that was one of the more impressive things. What did you see in that game?
Well, similar to you, I think the West defense, and especially the front 4, front 5, they did a really good job about not giving up too many chunk plays. You mentioned DJ Hunter on Bearden, not able to capitalize on the deep threats a couple of times. The ball was just too high. So in a sense, it felt that West's offense lost in the game. Their defense kept them in for the most part. And then going into triple overtime, it's one or the other. And for Bearden, they were obviously, of course, able to get that touchdown. And then whatever happened for West on offense when, Parker Dubon gets tackled basically near the backfield, I guess on a quarterback design run, which at the time didn't make sense. So there's some question marks when it comes to Parker Dubon and the trust the team has in him and the wide receivers and when it comes to the passing game. Yeah,
if there's one thing I've learned about West and their championship runs is, okay, well, their quarterbacks may not look like college football guys. They're not going to be 6'5", 220 and throwing rockets, but by the end of the year, they have tailored those guys to be able to play winning football. They'll know what plays and what throws the quarterbacks can make and tailor their play calling to that. So again, we're in a discovery phase with Parker Dubon, what he can do on Friday nights, and I think you'll see him keep getting better.
I think for both teams too. Obviously, DJ Hunter will continue to get comfortable in Bearden's offense, and I think for West, that team will continue to gel again. It's just week 1. Crazy things are bound to happen, whether high school or in college. Tell me something that surprised you from week 1.
Surprised me from week 1 was how good Ravenwood was.
Yeah, okay.
When you just check the scores from last year and you go, Alcoa beat them, surely you're going to win this game. They're Alcoa. They've won 9 championships in a row, and they got a lot of guys back. And I showed up at that game in the 3rd quarter, and when Ravenwood came out to warm up, I was like, oh, wow. I mean, there's just throngs of players. They're gigantic. And then once the game got started, Alcoa just really struggled to move the football against a really active defensive front for Ravenwood. So that was one of the things that surprised me is like, okay, maybe we're going to see Ravenwood late in the rounds of this 6A bracket. So if Maryville gets to the championship game, maybe they play Ravenwood. They've faced them before, but definitely just an eye-opening experience there. It's really rare when Alcoa gets outmanned, outmatched.
Yes, well, and you've been around East Tennessee for a number of years, so just tell us what you were right about from week 1.
For what I was right about, wow.
What did you see coming?
There were, what I saw coming, I think Greenville winning, I think they had a really kind of tough opener against Tennessee High. I definitely liked what I saw there. We talked about Tyreek King already getting off to a big start. Shavar Young, even though Webb lost on the road to BGA, Shavar Young, we talked about him being a possible Mr. Football candidate. 116 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. He had a bunch of tackles, and so we're seeing what he's supposed to do be done on the football field. So, but I got a lot of work to do, Paige. I got to bounce back in the second week.
Yes.
So I tried extra hard
we need you in
on my predictions this week.
Yeah,
so we'll bounce back. Week 1 again is always weird. Squirrely things happen.
Every time
so we'll get it right.
When we just take a peek back at week 1, is there anything that stands out to you, whether concerning or encouraging from other teams, whether it is, again, an Oak Ridge team or someone else in East Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, the Oak Ridge start was concerning. I checked my Twitter, and we had reporters up there and video and everything, but I was stunned to see the deficit that they faced. And again, it's week 1, there's nerves, there's all kinds of newness about. And so sometimes you kind of dig yourself a hole and it's hard to get out of. So, I mean, they lost their last playoff game last year. They lost their first game this year. Oak Ridge needs some feel-good things to happen here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, Jesse, we just talked about how you were actually wrong about Bearden in that West game. So Sam Scott, one of your videographers, was actually at the game. Let's take a look at some of those highlights as we come to break. Stay with us and we'll be right back.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Coaches always talk about the improvement from week 1 to week 2. What do you feel like is going to be key for y'all moving forward next week against Alcoa?
Take care of the ball. Let's take care of the ball. I think we can do everything else good. We just got to take care of the ball.
It doesn't get any easier. You guys take on Alcoa next week. Y'all were right there with them last year down in the fourth quarter. And what do you feel like has to be better for Bearden football going into week 2?
Definitely coming in clutch on certain plays, We kind of leaned back a little bit when we got down, but, we just got to keep going, keep coming out strong every play,
Next week you got Alcoa. Y'all were right there with them in the fourth quarter a year ago. And what's that game going to be like? Much like this one, just physical and tough?
Yes, physical, head-to-head. It's going to be a slow game, but it's going to be a lot of hitting, a lot of grown man ball out there. So if you want to watch grown man football, watch that game on Cold. It's going to be a great game.
Welcome back into the walkthrough presented by Triple F. You just heard from Bearden's quarterback, DJ Hunter. So much composure he has in his first start for a brand new team in a brand new state of Tennessee, already talking about maintaining composure, getting ready for that Alcoa game.
Yeah, he's had to learn about the Bearden West rivalry, and now he's going to have to learn about what it's like to play Alcoa. Bearden and Alcoa last year was a fantastic football game. Bearden had the ball at the goal line, 1 yard to go. They're getting ready to win at Alcoa. I mean, imagine that.
Yeah.
and there was a fumble. Alcoa recovers it, and then they go 99 yards, win the game 17-13. There's so many holdover players on that Bearden roster who remember that. DJ Hunter does not have that scar tissue, and I think that might think that might help him a little bit. But he's going to go up against one of the better coached defenses in Tennessee, Brian Nix, the head coach at Alcoa, known for his defense. I mean, he was a defensive coordinator at Alcoa so many years. So this is going to be a stern test for DJ Hunter and that Bearden squad.
The two games or opponents couldn't be more different, and the fact that Alcoa is probably seeking revenge, unfortunately, is going to happen on Bearden because they start their season with a loss for the first time since 2006.
Yeah.
And then Bearden has tons of momentum heading into that game, so it'll be a clash of all sorts on Friday.
And Alcoa, you don't see Alcoa start 0-2, so those kids are going to be fighting like crazy to get back on the winning column and get their season rolling.
Our next one, that's a key game for week 2, is Anderson County at Science Hill, their last meeting in 2023, and Science Hill actually won that game by 3 points, 26-23.
They did, and again, back then, early in the season in 2023, Anderson County's breaking in a new quarterback, a transfer quarterback, just like they're doing now. Landon Hensley, I thought, played a pretty good football game on Thursday night last week against Powell. He had some lapses in the third quarter, but in the fourth quarter ran the ball extremely well. I was really impressed with how he ran the football against Powell. So that's one of the things we'll keep an eye on this season to see if that's a trend with him. Because we all know him for throwing for over 3,000 yards and gobs of touchdowns when he was at Campbell County. So really impressed with his duality there at quarterback. But this Science Hill team, we always hear, Science Hill's good. This time around, we're hearing like they're extra good. Like this is a team that's going to be around for a while in 6A. So big and physical is what I've been told, athletic. And so Anderson County's got his hands full Friday.
And then a pair of teams that have been featured in the top 12 in these last couple of rankings is Jefferson County at Sevier County. All time, they're actually 19-19, so it'll be a nice tiebreaker in the rivalry.
Yeah, this is a hard one to predict, and I think we probably will later on in the show. But both teams coming in with a lot of momentum. You talk about the quarterback position. Sevier County probably holds that edge with Cooper Newman, a guy that's gotten Virginia Tech offers and a number of other colleges as well. Had such a great week 1, whereas Jefferson County maybe didn't throw the football all that well in week 1. It was just kind of more of a complementary piece to the run game. So both teams get after it defensively. This is a coin flip kind of game.
Yeah, and one that might actually end up being another coin flip. from what we've seen in week 1 is Farragut and Powell.
Yeah.
Both teams looking to maybe get in that win column as well.
Yeah, and Farragut was so close to having that win over Dobbins Bennett a week ago on the road. That's a tough place to play. Everybody knows that. And this Farragut team, new quarterback, you got your new coach, new head coach.
Been around the program for a while,
and I think there's some positives they can take away from that game and implement them into the game plan at Powell. But again, Connor Wheeler is going to be a shot in the arm for that Powell offense, and that's going to get them going.
Absolutely. Our next one is Gibbs at Halls. This one has gone 1-1 between the current head coaches, a little different than how the rivalry history has gone.
Yeah.
What are we maybe expecting from another meeting between these two head coaches?
Yeah, I would say right now we know more about Halls than we know about Gibbs. I didn't get a chance to see Gibbs a lot in the preseason other than some 7-on-7, so I didn't get to watch some of their scrimmages. So I'm just learning about their personnel, whereas with Halls, I know Amari Lethco. He's one of the better quarterbacks in East Tennessee. I know Drew Ross, their tight end, one of the better tight ends in East Tennessee, and their running game is superb. And so Brent Hughes has done a fantastic job in kind of pushing Halls into the spotlight a little bit. So if I were to lean right now, I like Halls, but this is a rivalry game. This is a big-time rivalry game.
Those games can go any direction.
Yeah, and they're going to get after it.
Our last key game for week 2 is Loudoun at Lenoir City. And they actually have a long history. Over nearly 100 games, it's 54-42-1 all time. That tie came in 1933. It was 0-0. So I'm not sure what was going on in 33, but it's a long-standing rivalry.
Yeah, and it's one of the most emotion-packed, hate-filled at times rivalries. I mean, you always hear about Farragut, Bearden, and Alcoa and Maryville, and rightfully so. But we've gone out to cover and video and shoot Lenoir City Loudoun, and it's wild out there. And it's going to be wild this year. Just both teams off to 1-0 start. Loudoun likes where it's at. Lenoir City kind of changing offensive philosophies under a new coach, and they ran the ball extremely well in week 1 against South Doyle. So I'm looking forward to this. We're going to be covering it again. It's going to be the TV game on Thursday night.
Yeah, because Loudoun won last year 27-26.
Yeah. And
Can we predict a close game like that again?
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Both teams are going to pride themselves on running the football and playing just sound defense and making the other team try to make the critical mistake. So I think it's another tight one.
Yeah, someone getting introduced quite quickly to that rivalry is Scott Cummings of Lenoir City. We have an interview with him. Take a listen to that. We'll be back from break, but stay with us and we'll be right back.
Coach, 1-0, won by more than 40 points. What did you learn about your team, and what do you feel like you can still improve on?
Well, there's a ton to improve on. Too many penalties. Didn't execute a lot. We're playing 4 out of 5 offensive linemen. This is the first varsity game on the offensive line, so huge for us and experience getting tonight. I love our kids' spirit, though. We're kind of learning how to do some different things, so it was fun.
Yeah. Next week, obviously, you got Loudoun. Any thoughts on them in that game next week?
It's going to be a circus, I just told our kids, the reason it is a circus is because of the rivalry in the football game. So you can't be a part of the circus. You got to be the reason the circus is coming.
Yeah.
So, they got to come in Monday to get better on a short week. Playing on Thursday night next week, we got a lot to do.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned it there, but what do you feel like are the keys to your players managing emotions in such a heated rivalry like that?
First of all, we need to understand it. Yeah, of course, it's a rivalry. I'm not going to hide from that or sugarcoat that. There's no point, right? But we also got to understand there's 10 games, and like all anybody wants to talk about is the Battle of the Bridge next week, and we had a game tonight, So I was proud of our kids coming out focused, But now it's going to be here on Monday or Sunday for us. So I think our kids will be ready. As long as I can promise you as coaches, we'll have them focused.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
How excited are you guys, for the season? Obviously, you're leading the charge back there at the quarterback position.
We're really excited, just working hard every day, trying to get better. We have probably a little bit of expectation on us because of how we played last year, so we're just trying to fulfill that.
How are you guys, working each day to not only meet those expectations from last year, but maybe be able to build on that this year?
Definitely been like a little boost since last year. We're working really hard. I'd say last year there's a little bit more leadership, but because of our O-line, but this year we're still working really hard. People are stepping up, taking bigger roles.
What is it like to be at Halls at a time where there is a lot of attention on you all because of what happened last year and kind of all the talent returning this year?
It's definitely different. Nobody expects it, but it just came out of nowhere for real. So.
Welcome back into the Walk Thru, Week 2, presented by Triple F. Jesse, we have a couple of games I want us to get to in Week 2 and kind of debate whether they're going to win or lose. Our first one is Loudoun at Lenoir City. Where do we maybe predict this game going?
Yeah, it's a tough one to predict, a coin flip game, and again, I can make a case for both teams winning. And Loudoun runs the football. They play extremely good defense. Lenoir City's going to run the football with Scott Cummings as head coach. And one of the things he talked about in his interview that we played was a lot of things to clean up.
Sure.
And when I hear that, I hear the alarm bells going off. And so while teams usually improve a lot from week 1 to week 2, I think maybe Loudoun's in a little bit better position to kind of maybe play a cleaner game. A lot of experience at the quarterback position, and in a rivalry game that matters. And so for that reason, I'll lean towards Loudoun, but it's going to be a raucous atmosphere. It's at Lenoir City. It's a TV game. The lights are going to be a little bit brighter, some pressure, some nerve. So again, it could go either way, but right now I'm going to pick Loudoun to win this football game.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting game with both of them entering it 1-0 on the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, how about Alcoa and Bearden? Again, we talked about them a little bit in the last break. Again, let's remind them, Alcoa hasn't lost their opener game since 2006. In that year, they still went on to go 13-1 and win a state championship.
Yep.
So it's not out of the question that won't happen again this year, but where do we maybe see this game going?
Yeah, I'm going to abandon X's and O's,
okay,
and I'm going to play the percentages here. I cannot, for the life of me, pick Alcoa to go 0-2 to start a season, not with the players that they have. So it's going to be a fantastic game. It's going to be hard. They're a 6A team against a 3A team, Alcoa being the 3A team. But I'm going to play the percentages. I like Alcoa to win this football game, but it's going to be tough once again for them.
Over, under on it going into overtime.
Oh, gosh, I hope it does not go into overtime. I had enough overtime.
It goes to overtime.
I hope there's no overtime. I got enough of that on Saturday night. But I mean, there's possibility. I think it's going to be another low-scoring game, and who knows? Maybe it comes down to a kick.
Yeah, another game that I want to draw our attention to is Oneida and Coalfield. That'll be an interesting matchup that maybe doesn't always get a ton of eyes on it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a really kind of slept-on rivalry a little bit, and Coalfield is kind of getting slept on right now. And why is that? Oliver Springs, their rival, beat South Pittsburgh in week 1. That was one of the bigger surprises of week 1. South Pittsburgh lost big time to Oliver Springs in week 1, and so Coalfield probably feels like, hey, we need to make a statement win too.
Yeah, I mean, they put up 60 points in game 1.
Yeah.
Granted,
but
your opponent.
But nobody's talking about it, right?
Right.
It's about Oliver Springs in 1A, and so it's an opportunity for Coalfield to say, hey, we're still a contender in this thing. They got to go out and beat Oneida to do that. I think they will.
Yeah, Gibson Halls highlighted it last segment. We're kind of favoring Halls. We know more about them. What do you need to see early on from Halls, though, then to solidify that you think they'll win?
Yeah, just running the football. Whenever you get into a real big rivalry game, if you can run the football, and it just opens so much up for you. It's an old coaching cliche, but it's true. And so Halls can run the football. We do know that. We know they can throw the football, but just getting off to a good start running the football, not getting behind 2 scores and feeling like you have to throw, that's a bad feeling to be in. So we'll see if Halls can establish the run pretty early, but I am picking Halls in this game. Yeah,
Jeff County, Sevier County, our last game that I think we should maybe touch on. What are some of the fireworks we think we might see in this one that'll lead to a win?
Yeah, a matchup of really great running backs. And Skylar Thomas of Jefferson County, we talked about his accolades from week 1, and then Tegan Avera from Sevier County, 160 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game. But just the offense that Sevier County has on the whole, from quarterbacks to receivers to running backs, their offensive line is just as big as Jefferson County, so they're going to be able to run the football. I like Sevier County to win this football game. Jefferson County probably loves that. I hated on them last week, and they ended up winning that football game, so I'm giving them some motivation.
Yes.
But I just, tail of the tape-wise, I like Sevier County a little bit better.
Well, and interestingly, Sevier County has won 3 of the last 4, but it was Jefferson County that won last year, and it was a 41-14 final.
Yeah.
So is it a trend that Jefferson County now wins, 3 of the next 4, or
We'll
does
see.
Sevier County take it
The
back?
sample sizes we're working with are pretty small at this point.
Yes,
Just
it
one
is.
game for each. But again, I'm just kind of reading the tail of the tape. I like Sevier County to win this football game.
Yeah, so those are our highlights of week 2, when we kind of turn our attention to week 3 and get people excited for what's to come there. Just of the couple of matchups, again, it's Bearden, Anderson County. Could be really interesting with how week 2 goes, how intense that matchup could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And if both of those teams happen to lose and they're desperate for win, that game gets even better. So just both of those teams have brutal schedules. That's one thing I've noticed as we've talked about them through week 1, 2, and now looking into week 3 is just how demanding their schedules are. You wonder just how beat up they're going to be by the time they reach their bye week. But for us in the media, those are fun matchups. I'm looking forward to
That's
that.
what gets us up and staying up late.
Absolutely.
Our other game for week 3 that I think is going to get a lot of people excited, especially if they can get a pair of wins this week, is our Farragut and West game.
Yeah, it's a really big rivalry.
Yeah.
And even though Farragut may not be in the top 10s of state polls or anything like that, it's always a good game. Farragut always plays West really tough. And so, yeah, that's definitely a game worth going to.
Yeah, the Rebels are actually 15-4 and 3 all time, so that had 3 ties.
Nice.
As compared to the 1933-0-0 tie. Just another one real quickly as well. We have Oak Ridge at Powell, Heritage at William Blunt. Of those two, what stands out to you?
Well, Heritage William Blunt is just an old-fashioned rivalry in Blount County, and even though it gets overshadowed by Alcoa and Maryville times, it's equally as passionate. It's definitely a game worth going to. And Oak Ridge and Powell, 2 5A contenders that we want to see in week 3, really playing good football. And while they're not in the same region, you want to see both of those teams starting to kind of climb up towards their peak.
Absolutely. Jesse, awesome show. Great insight for week 2. Hopefully that'll get you guys geared up for those Thursday, Friday, and maybe some Saturday games. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But thank you all for joining us, and we will be back next week for week 3 walkthrough.
Welcome to the Walk Thru with 5 Star Preps, the ultimate weekly live show that dives deep into the heart of high school football right here in East Tennessee. Powered by F Training. Train like a pro. Each week, Jesse Smithey and the 5 Star Prep team takes you beyond the gridiron and into the stories that define Fall Friday nights in the hills of the Great Smoky Mountains. From the thrilling touchdowns to the hard-hitting tackles and the unsung heroes who make every game unforgettable, we've got it all covered. Join Jesse Smithey as he breaks down this week's biggest games, highlights the standout performances, and gives you the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. Now, catch us live on The Walkthrough, presented by F Training.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.